I'm Anne Stephenson. I'm a GP in South London and I'm director of KUMEC, so I know most of you. And so good morning on this beautifully sunny day and looking out the window at it, and welcome to our KUMEC conference. I'm not going to say a lot, but I mainly want to just say a big thank you for training our students through thick and thin and coronavirus. And it's certainly not easy hosting students in the midst of this pandemic. And we can only hope that in the main, they lift your spirits and that you find ways with them for them to help at your practices. Now, the students often remark that they find their GP placements very enjoyable and valuable, and our placements continue to be very highly evaluated. On another note, you would have got our message that we've received an increase in our GP tariff, which is very welcome, especially at this time. And at the moment, we're very carefully working out how to apportion this fairly amongst you. And we'll let you know when we've decided on the increase, which will be backdated to the beginning of the academic year. So just to end, I've got a message from Professor Tim Lancaster, who's our Dean. He just emailed me this morning and asked me to pass this message on to you. So he's saying, Dear KUMEC, I would like to thank all the educators of KUMEC for your outstanding efforts to ensure a first-rate educational experience for GK students, particularly during the difficult days of COVID. You've been innovative and bold in finding new ways of supporting students and teaching clinical skills and knowledge. New standards have been established for communicating with patients remotely as well as face-to-face. And I have seen from my interactions with students how well they have been trained to adapt. Please accept my warmest thanks and congratulations on behalf of King's for your commitment to the next generation of doctors and securing the pipeline to the NHS workforce of the future. So that's a lovely message from Tim. I know that he's been working with the students on their assessments, and he's been really impressed by the standard of the GP students and how well they're doing their assessments, and kind of pleased because we weren't quite sure how it was all going to work, especially with lots of remote consultations, but it's definitely honed their history taking skills, which is, you know, a very important part of clinical medicine. So I'm going to leave it there. Please enjoy the conference, and I'll see you all again at the end of the conference. Thank you. Hand you over to Ros now.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. So I'm Dr. Ros Herbert, and I share the job with Rini. We're both teacher development leads. And we chose the theme of this conference actually pre-pandemic. We've got a really interesting lineup for you today. We've got lots of different themes coming out, but our overall theme really is about intergenerational differences and how the pandemic has helped in some way break down some barriers, but in other ways we need to understand each other more. Now, this quote I'm sure you've seen before. This is by Socrates in 400 BC or thereabouts. I'll read it to you. Our youth love luxury and is rude, ignores authority and has not the slightest respect for the elderly. Our children today are real tyrants. They respond to their parents and they are simply bad. So the older generation being threatened by the younger generation is nothing new. This goes way back. And then the younger generation just thinking the older generation are out of date and don't know anything. That, you know, there's nothing new there, is there? I don't know if you're like me and you've been slightly threatened by the younger generation's ability to do tech, or not even threatened, just needing them more and more in the pandemic, certainly in this age of remote teaching. But I think nothing is more important than understanding right now. The younger generation really have lost out on so much. They have stayed at home to protect the elderly. And students now are locked down in their halls of residence. They've given up a normal university experience. And we're really concerned about student mental health and all that they've had to do. We really want the students to feel valued and understood and to know how to help them. And our second speaker, Dr. Dominique Thompson, I'm so glad that we've got her with us this morning. She's an expert in student mental health, and she's going to unpack some of the challenges that the students are facing and how we can support them and help them this morning. But I think to kick off, we've got a fun quiz to help us understand a bit about intergenerational differences, to unpick them, to help us understand where we stand on this, how we are different. You may be way younger than me, way older than me, but we all have different aspects that we've grown up with and we've taken on board. So Dr. Russell Hearn, I'm going to hand over to him. I'm sure you all know him. He's the Deputy Director at KUMEC, amongst many, many other roles.